This is Jarrod Horak, and it's Sunday, October 27th, and in this video I'm going to preview the Breeders' Cup Friday program. The Breeders' Cup pre-entries were announced on Wednesday earlier this week, and the Breeders' Cup Friday card is going to be run at Del Mar on Friday, November 1st, 2024. So keep checking my YouTube channel for these Breeders' Cup 2024 videos. I have a Breeders' Cup Saturday preview video planned for Monday, and I'm going to do some other Breeders' Cup videos next week, so stay tuned for those. And I wrapped up my Keeneland Fall Meet Stakes video series on October 26th. I did cover all 22 stakes races at the Keeneland Fall Meet this year, and my top choices had 8 wins, 3 seconds, and 4 third-place finishes. So I hope you enjoyed that Keeneland Fall Meet Stakes video series. Also, my Road to the Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby 2025 video series, that continued at Churchill Downs on Sunday, October 27th. And they ran the Rags to Riches Stakes and the Street Scent Stakes in Oaks and Derby prep. And my top choice was second in the Rags to Riches, that was an Oaks prep. And my top choice won the Street Scent Stakes, that was a Derby prep. So I'm going to be covering all of the Oaks and Derby points races on my YouTube channel. So stay tuned to all of those. And if you're interested in my annual 2-day Breeders' Cup full card, that will be available next week on my sales page at therunawayhorse.com. And you can pre-purchase those Breeders' Cup full cards now. You can get Breeders' Cup Friday, Breeders' Cup Saturday, both Breeders' Cup days, all 4 Breeders' Cup week full cards at Del Mar as well. Then I'm also covering the full Del Mar Fall Meet like I do every year. So go over to therunawayhorse.com and click on the Buy Cards tab at the top of the homepage for more details. I've been selling these full cards for many years, since the late 1990s, and I've been doing these Breeders' Cup full cards at least as long as that. I've had a lot of success over the years in the Breeders' Cup, and my Breeders' Cup full cards will include analysis of every horse, historical trends, wagering strategies for every race, pick 4, pick 5, pick 6 tickets, and more. And also, today's Racing Digest annual Breeders' Cup product is going to be available Breeders' Cup week at todaysracingdigest.com, and they've been covering Southern California racing since 1970. They've been selling their Today's Racing Digest hard copy on track at Santa Anita and Del Mar since 1970. They've been covering Southern California racing a long time, and with the Breeders' Cup in Southern California, expect that they're going to have a lot of success this year as well. So what you'll get with that Breeders' Cup report at todaysracingdigest.com, you'll get analysis of every race, you'll get workout information, projected pace report, you'll get early and late pace ratings, performance ratings, jockey trainer stats, class ratings, and much more. So go over to todaysracingdigest.com if you're interested in their annual Breeders' Cup product. And the final Breeders' Cup entry day is Monday, October 28th. So tomorrow they're going to draw the post positions for the Breeders' Cup, and we're going to have the morning line odds as well. And now we will look at the 5 Breeders' Cup races for Friday, November 1st, beginning with Race 6, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. And this is the first 2024 Breeders' Cup event. Looks like a competitive 5-furlong turf sprint. And horses that have early pressing speed, they typically do have the edge in these abbreviated turf sprints. This is a relatively new Breeders' Cup race. This was first run in 2018. And Bulletin won the first edition for trainer Todd Pletcher. Now, Wesley Ward settled the winner of this race in 2019, 20, and 21, but he doesn't have an entrant this year. And the last 2 runnings of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint, they were won by overseas shippers Mischief Magic and Big Evs. And then actually the last 3 winners of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint, including the 2021 winner Twilight Gleaming for Wesley Ward, they raced overseas in their start prior to the Breeders' Cup. They were all coming in off of starts in Europe, and they were all bred in Ireland. So maybe it's not a bad idea to look for a horse that last raced in Europe, bred in Ireland, and horses that have speed, that break well, typically do well in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint as well. So that's a wide open race. We'll wait till after the post draw before I have any real opinions on that race. So race 7 for Friday, November 1st is going to be the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies at 1 1/16 on the main track. And this is also a Kentucky Oaks 2025 points race. I'm going to cover this race as part of my Road to the Oaks video series. So earlier today on the Road to the Oaks, Good Cheer, she ran her record to 3 for 3 for trainer Brad Cox when she won the Rags to Riches Stakes at Churchill Downs. And in that Oaks Points race, she just dominated that one like she did her other starts. She's really untested after 3 starts. She won her 3 races by a combined 30 lengths. She's got a lot of ability. We'll see if she continues to develop. And then Bob Baffert did unveil an exciting Bernardini filly, Cipriani at Santa Anita on Sunday. She won her sprint debut for fun. She looked really good there, and she's one that's bred to go on and be a good one as well. So as for good cheer, she completed her mile and a 16th journey in 1:44 flat. So for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, early speed can be dangerous, so look out for horses with early speed, and then look out for horses that ran well in the Frizette Stakes in their last start, the Frizette from New York. Now, this race has been held twice at Del Mar before, and Caledonia Road finished second in the Frizette Stakes in New York in 2017. She shipped to Southern California, and she rallied from post 12, and she upset the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies by 3 1/4 lengths at 17-1 odds under Mike Smith. And then Frizette winner Echo Zulu, she ran her record to 4 for 4 when she won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies by 5 1/4 lengths. She was the strong favorite. That was at Del Mar in 2021, Joel Rosario and Steve Asmussen. So in 2024, the Frizette morning line favorite was Senza Parole, and I did a video for that race and I picked her, but she scratched out of that race for trainer Chad Brown. And then Scottish Lassie, a second time starting maiden, she stalked the pace and she romped by 9 lengths in the Frizette this year. So she broke her maiden in her second career start in the Grade 1 Frizette, and she looks like a contender for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies this year. And let's look at some of the other top contenders for the Juvenile Fillies for 2024. And Immersive for trainer Brad Cox. Brad Cox has a good overall record with his Breeders' Cup starters. This is a daughter of Nyquist, Bernardini, the dam sire. She's bred to go on and do well as she gets older and as distances increase. This is a Godolphin filly. And for this one, she won her debut at 6 furlongs on a fast track. She won the Grade 1 Spin Away in the Mud at 7 furlongs second time out, stalking the pace in both of those races. And then the Grade 1 Alcibiades. She stretched out at a mile and a 16th. She had the outside post in a 7-horse field, and she stalked and she won that race by a length and a quarter. She'll probably have to run faster to win this one, but she certainly has shown a lot of ability so far. La Cara. This is a daughter of Street Sense for trainer Mark Cassie, and Bernardini, the dam sire, here as well. And for La Cara, I like the fact that she broke her maiden going wire to wire at 7 furlongs at Saratoga. And then the Grade 3 Pocahontas Stakes, the first Kentucky Oaks 2025 points race, a 1-turn mile at Churchill, she rallied from 11th to win that race. So she's been able to wire the field and rally from off the pace. So she has versatility, but she's another one that will have to run faster. Now, non-compliant for trainer Bob Baffert. This is a daughter of Tiz the Law, and Street Sense is the dam sire. And she looked good in her debut from the inside post, 6 furlongs at Del Mar. And she won that race by a length and a half, stalking the pace. So it was a good sign that she handled the inside post. That it can be intimidating for the young horses sometimes when they, in their debut, they break from the inside. And she handled it easily. She looked professional. And then she stretched out from 6 furlongs to a mile and a 16th in the Grade 2 Oakleaf Stakes. She was my top choice in that Oaks Points race. And she stalked from the outside post, and she won by 2 1/4 lengths. She beat her stablemate Nooni, who was clearly second best. And Nooni's in this race and could be the one to catch in here. She won her first 2 sprint races going wire to wire for Bob Baffert. She got in a speed duel in the Grade 1 Del Mar debutante, and she finished 5th by 10. And she bounced back in the Oakleaf Stakes, setting the pace, finishing second, 2 1/4 lengths behind her stablemate, non-compliant, 8 1/4 lengths in front of her other stablemate, Tenma. So that was a good effort, and look for Nooni to be a pace factor in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Quickick was my top choice in the Grade 1 Alcibiades last time after she added blinkers second time out and broke her maiden at 7 furlongs at Saratoga. And she beat Scottish Lassie and Snowyte, and they're both going to be in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And then against Immersive last time when she stretched out after those 2 7-furlong races, she ended up finishing a clear second. Good effort there from off the pace. Quickick has ability. This daughter of McKinsey for trainer Tom Amos. And we mentioned Scottish Lassie. She was 3rd in her debut, and then she dominated the Grade 1 Frizette last time, another daughter of McKinsey. And Snowyte, still a maiden, back-to-back runner-up finishes, including that clear runner-up finish in the Grade 1 Frizette last time for trainer Danny Gargan. daughter of Good Magic, War Front the dam sire, and she's been training forwardly for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. So those are some of the contenders for the Juvenile Fillies this year. Now we'll look at race 8, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. 1 mile on turf. And one of the angles in this race that's good to look for trainer Chad Brown, he's had success with his Miss Grillo runners in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. And Marum in 2008, Lady Eli 2014, New Money Honey in 2016, Newspaper of Record 2018, Hard to Justify 2023. They all won the Miss Grillo Stakes, and then they parlayed those victories into victories in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf for trainer Chad Brown. And then he also won the Juvenile Fillies Turf with Rushing Fall in 2017 at Del Mar, but she did not prep in the Miss Grillo Stakes. She prepped in the Jessamine Stakes at Keeneland. So this year, Chad Brown does have a Miss Grillo runner, but she finished second in that race, and that's Virgin Colada. And she's one that has a good late kick in the stretch, so she has good late pace ratings. And she's going to need some pace help in a clean trip from off the pace at Del Mar. We'll see what she can do, but you got to consider her just based on that Miss Grillo angle for trainer Todd Pletcher. For trainer Chad Brown, she could certainly finish somewhere in the top 3 in that Juvenile Fillies Turf. In race 9, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and this is also a Kentucky Derby 2025 points race. And I'm going to cover this race next week as part of my Road to the Derby video series. And through the first 5 Derby 2025 points races, my top choices in those videos have 4 wins and a runner-up finish. So I'm off to a flying start on the road to the Kentucky Derby. And my most recent Derby prep race winner was Sovereignty. He paid $4.86, bet down in that race. That was the Grade 3 Street Scent Stakes at Churchill Downs on October 27th. And he went last to first, and he broke his maiden in his 3rd career start by 5 lengths for trainer Bill Mott. And he picked up 10 Kentucky Derby points. So he's a Godolphin colt. He owns a strong route pedigree, and he should continue to develop next year based on that pedigree and how he's developing as he's racing here. He's one that's definitely an exciting Derby prospect for next year. I like that pedigree. Into Mischief is the sire, Crowned is the dam, and then Bernardini the dam sire. So he's got a long distance pedigree, and his final time in that Street Scent Stakes, 143.86. He was slightly faster than the Rags to Riches winner, Good Cheer. She ran in 144 flat. Now we're going to look at some of the top contenders for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile this year. Now, it could be a tough call for me. I'm not sure which horse I'm going to make my top choice because I've been picking these winners in the prep races, and I'm just not sure which one I'm going to go for in here. Chancer McPatrick for Chad Brown. He's 3 for 3. I picked him in the Hopeful. He was 4 to 1 that day, and then I picked him in the Champagne. He likes to come from well off the pace. He has a nice late kick. $725,000 son of McKenzie and Bernardini the dam sire. So we're seeing Bernardini pop up in a lot of these pedigrees for these 2-year-old horses. Citizen Bull for Bob Baffert. This one went wire to wire in the American Pharoah Stakes under Martin Garcia. So he should be forwardly placed. And the track was heavy at Santa Anita that day. He handled it nicely. He controlled the pace, and he held off his stablemate, a Getaway Car, and he kicked away and won that one nicely. Some others, East Avenue. He was my top choice in the Breeders' Futurity last time. He was outstanding in his 6th furlong debut at Ellis Park. For trainer Brendan Walsh, this is a son of Medaglia d'Oro, another Godolphin colt, just like that Street Sense winner, Sovereignty that I mentioned earlier. Ghost Sapper the dam sire, bred to go on, and then his 2nd career start as my top choice in the Breeders' Futurity. He controlled the pace. He won that one easily. His speed rating jumped up. He's been training well. He looks good. He's a solid contender for the Juvenile. Ferocious, he won his debut. They paid $1.3 million for him. And then he was 2nd to Chancer McPatrick in the Grade 1 Hopeful, and he was 2nd to East Avenue in the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity. Gaming for Bob Baffert, he's 2 for 2. Looked good in his 6.5 furlong debut at Del Mar. And then he won at Del Mar again, the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity as my top choice at 7 to 2 odds. So that was a nice effort there. And he's stretching out after 2 sprints. Getaway Car for Bob Baffert should be forwardly placed. He won his first 2 starts, including the Grade 3 Best Pal Stakes. Then in the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity, he was 4th, getting in a pace duel. And then in the American Pharoah Stakes, he stalked his stablemate Citizen Bull, chased that one all the way around the track, and he was more than 5 lengths clear of show finisher Mackenzie Street there. The Getaway Car It's the son of Curlin, and he should continue to handle added ground. We'll have to see how much further he does want to go, though. He ran well in the sprint races, and he did handle the 2 turns last time. Jonathan's Way, he was my top choice in the Iroquois Stakes, and he's one that I liked, that he had a troubled start in his debut at Saratoga at 6 furlongs, and he overcame that troubled start to rally from off the pace and win by more than 4 lengths. The Iroquois Stakes, the Grade 3 first Kentucky Derby points race, and as my top choice there, he just controlled the pace and he dominated that race. So he's versatile. He's got a lot of ability. We'll see if he continues to develop for trainer Phil Bauer. So those are some of the top contenders for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And again, I'm going to cover that video next week. I'll go through the whole field. I'll give out my top choice. And finally, race 10, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, the last Breeders' Cup race for Friday on November 1st. And horses making their last start overseas have won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf 12 times in 17 years. So the overseas runners certainly must be respected in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. And if you're looking at a U.S. runner, the Pilgrim Stakes has been a productive race over the years for the United States runners. And the horses exiting the Pilgrim Stakes this year, Zulu Kingdom for trainer Chad Brown, Noble Confessor, they finished first and second in the Pilgrim Stakes. Noble Confessor was switching surfaces for trainer Todd Pletcher, and he ran a decent race. He gave Zulu Kingdom, the favorite, a run for his money, but he just came up short. So Noble Confessor looks like one that could continue to develop. Zulu Kingdom's been looking good in his races. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share these videos, and until I see you next time, good luck at the race.